watching Alaska's news source.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on this Monday after Super Bowl weekend. We have a few of the highlights of the big game, including the best commercials. But first, we start out with Melissa, and a little bit chilly out there.
Just a little bit, yeah. Many of us saw the coldest morning we've seen in more than a year as temperatures went well below zero. We dropped to 5 below here in Anchorage this morning, and that was on the west side. It was even cooler on the east side, but absolutely gorgeous. And it actually doesn't feel as cold, at least I don't think so, as it is just because of that beautiful sunshine and beautiful visibility. This camera view not even doing it justice. A beautiful view, 360 degrees of the mountains around us. 10 degrees right now in Anchorage, so we've warmed up pretty nicely considering where we started, and that's also true for the east side of town. Here in Midtown, we're up to 18 at Alaska's weather source and seeing temperatures up to 7 for those of you in Eagle River. It's all relative, right? We're calling 7 warm at this point, but it is compared to where we started out, 6 below the official low temperature this morning in Anchorage, 16 below in Kenai. We also saw temperatures down to those double digits below zero up into the valley this morning. Now we're seeing clear, dry conditions across the entire region at this point, and we're going to hold on to those clear skies overnight tonight. That means, yes, another cold night in store. I expect us to drop to about 4 below tonight here in Anchorage. The 3 C's is going to be clear, cold, and calm, but tomorrow we do have another storm system pushing in. That's going to bring back some cloud cover, some chances for some snow, and some warmer temperatures to go with it. And Alexis, I'll have a look at that detailed forecast here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Here's a look at your top 4 stories at 4. State troopers have recovered the bodies of 2 people who died in a small plane crash that federal investigators say may have broken up in midair. The Cessna 185 single-engine propeller plane went down 5 days ago in Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, about 13 miles northeast of Chitina. The National Transportation Safety Board says the flight operated by Copper Valley Air Service carried a pilot and 1 passenger who were both killed. Their bodies were recovered over the weekend and taken to the state medical examiner's office. And NTSB investigators are back on the site of crashes after a year due to COVID-19 numbers improving. Alaska's Chief Clint Johnson said he and his team could not respond to crashes because of the number of increasing coronavirus cases in the state. It can now resume field investigations. If you are eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine, there are more than 1,000 appointments available across the state. Currently, people eligible for a vaccine include those ages 65 and older, frontline hospital and emergency workers, and long-term care residents and staff. You can see the appointments in your area by going to covidvax.alaska.gov or calling the appointment hotline at 907-646-3322. More than 100,000 Alaskans have received the first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. After 28 years, the Anchorage Downtown Market is looking for a new home. According to Michael Fox, who owns and manages the market, this season's market will not continue in size or in the same location where it has been due to the impacts of the pandemic. He says a lack of visitors and the very large financial burden that it takes to operate such a market played a factor. It is currently looking for other locations in Anchorage, Eagle River, or the Mat-Su to host the market. Now to a familiar duo who are no strangers to success on football's biggest stage. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski shined for many years with the Patriots, and their undeniable chemistry, 2 of their biggest offensive weapons. And it seems a change of uniform did little to change their winning ways. Here's Stephanie Gosk. This is Brady's 7th Super Bowl ring and Gronk's 4th. Last night, the 2 future Hall of Famers set the record for the most playoff touchdowns by a QB and receiver combo with 13. Still ahead, it is now one of the deadliest avalanches in Utah's history, how a group of skiers unintentionally triggered a slide.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Welcome back. It's a tragic story out of Utah. 4 people were killed over the weekend in an avalanche outside Salt Lake City, but incredibly 4 others managed to survive the massive slide.
Yeah, the accident was the deadliest avalanche in the U.S. in nearly 7 years. And as NBC's Megan Fitzgerald reports, last week was the worst 7-day period since 1910 with 15 avalanche-related fatalities.
And just to give you a sense of how dangerous it's gotten, their Saturday slide was the 6th deadly avalanche Utah has seen this year.
Just gives me chills to see that video. So scary, and always tough news to hear of anyone caught in an avalanche, especially when it's fatal. We do average about 1 death, unfortunately, a year from avalanches here in Alaska. And of course, we lost those 3 people just last week near Chugiak when the avalanche came down. So tough reality if you're in the backcountry and snow. But like we heard from them, they knew what they were doing. They had the proper gear. They had the beacons, and that's why 4 people were saved.
Goodness, that's and good to know. Obviously, another reminder to just make sure that you're prepared going out in the outdoors.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, Melissa. Coming up next, heavy snowfall throughout Europe is disrupting travel there and daily life. The countries that are expected to get a lot of snow this week.
Here's a look at those daylight amounts for today, February 8th, 8 hours, 28 minutes as we gain another 5 minutes and 31 seconds. That sunset tonight at 5:28, and as soon as that sun goes down, so do the temperatures. I'll let you know how cold I expect it to get overnight right after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Melissa has a look at the week ahead, and it looks like Chicken is the place to be if you want to be in your 60 below weather.
Yep, you know, if you have that parka that you just been waiting to break out, really test if it does still work at 50 below, Chicken is the place to go to check that 57 below, the low temperature there this morning. Coldest we've seen so far this season, and you were close to it for Yukon, 53 below. And I've been saying this last week and the week before, it'd be one thing if this was one night only, but we're going into the 2nd week now and climbing with temperatures almost this cold. 44 below this morning in Dead Horse, 39 below in Fairbanks, and we're seeing that cold air even extending down into southeast. Now, not sub-zero yet, but did drop to 10 this morning in Juneau. And here in Anchorage, we had our coldest morning of the season, dropping to 6 below. In fact, you have to go all the way back to early January of 2020 to find a day with similar temperatures. So I want to know, how cold did it get where you were this morning? Do you have a thermometer at your place? If you do, maybe snap a picture or just find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and let me know what are the conditions like where you are. And again, we are going to see even colder conditions again tonight. Now, because of the clear conditions which cause the cold temperatures, we are seeing just fantastic visibility. Denali, so vivid and bright this morning, and you can see the mountains off into the distance as well. Gorgeous conditions there of the Kinnick Arm as well, just outside of downtown. Now, we are seeing dry conditions across the entire interior. Again, that's why it's so cold and dry. We have this one storm system out west bringing some light snow there. We also have some snow down into southeast, but everyone else in between those 2 storms are seeing that strong offshore flow, which is going to keep us clear and cold again tonight. But notice this right here, barely showing up on the radar, just a little bit of light snow showing up here in the Gulf. That's going to form into a storm, which is going to head back into south central starting tomorrow afternoon, and it's going to bring some snow to the area. So looking ahead, you'll see this as it starts to drift further to the north. We see those chances for snow increasing across Prince William Sound tomorrow afternoon, and then eventually pushing into Anchorage overnight, and then we'll see it spreading across the rest of south central. Comes and goes very quickly, and you can see it's not a ton of snow. Valdez, you'll climb above 3 inches of snow by the time you get into Wednesday. And here, the rest of south central looking at 1 to 2 inches, generally speaking. But depending on the timing of this, we could get a little bit more. Now, in southeast, the snow that we had is all cleared, dry and cold conditions. And again, look at these temperatures, 5 below for the low temperature tonight in Haines. You add in wind gusts of 40 miles per hour, and that's what's going to drop those wind chills down to dangerous levels. In fact, up over White Pass, we could see wind chills as low as 60 below. And that is why we do have a wind chill warning in effect there. Then further to the south, gusts of 20 miles per hour in Petersburg, low temperatures in the single digits there. And Juneau likely dropping to below 0 temperatures overnight tonight, which would be the first time that we've seen that in 12 years for Juneau specifically. Again, be prepared for increasing clouds across the Kenai Peninsula tomorrow with chances for light snow. Homer, I don't expect to see the snow, but you will see it further to the north and to the east. You'll also see it across Prince William Sound. High temperatures there will be in the mid to upper 20s, still very cold across the Copper River Basin, still sub-zero in the valley. Again, increasing clouds tomorrow with snow arriving tomorrow night. Same story for Anchorage. We dropped to 4 below overnight with a high temperature tomorrow of 11. We'll see that snow into early Wednesday. Then we dry out, and the temperatures, they do warm up considerably all the way back into the mid to upper 20s by Thursday, Alexis.
Thanks, Melissa.
Coming up on the CBS Evening News, new cases of coronavirus across the nation decline. But one top health expert warns the U.S. is in the eye of the hurricane as new virus strains show up at an alarming rate in America. Plus, more from our interview with President Joe Biden, how to reopen schools safely, and the new guidelines expected this week. And from the oldest quarterback to the flyover that made history, the sights and sounds of Super Bowl 55. We've got all that tonight right here on the CBS Evening News.
A heavy blanket of snow covered most of Europe today. It began snowing in eastern England over the weekend, disrupting travel and forcing the closure of vaccination centers. This morning in Brussels, people began digging out from a rare snowfall, and forecasters in Germany said the snowfall there was heavier than what's usual for this winter. A number of trucks and cars became stranded on a highway in eastern Germany, while some roads in the western part of the country were closed. With more Americans shopping from home, some are now spending a lot more time on hold waiting for customer service. How the on-hold music is creating unlikely celebrities. Super Bowl Sunday might have set a record for fast food deliveries with more people at home. That means millions of people likely spent a lot of time on hold. In case you missed it, here's CBS's Steve Hartman with On the Road. That was pretty good. Still ahead, new music from the Jane's Addiction singer, the career-spanning box set covering his career outside of bands. Plenty of movie news today, from awards to a sneak peek. Here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute. He's the front man for alt-rockers Jane's Addiction and the founder of the Lollapalooza Festival. Singer Perry Farrell has a new release out now that brings many of his solo recordings together for the first time. Rick Damigella has the details. All the 2021 Super Bowl commercials, you probably have your favorite. Americans weighing on which ones came out on top. Plus, meteorologist Melissa Fry will have our statewide forecast.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Welcome back. Here's another look at your top 4 stories at 4. State troopers have recovered the bodies of 2 people who died in a plane crash that federal investigators say may have broken up in midair. The Cessna 185 single-engine propeller plane went down 5 days ago in Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, about 13 miles northeast of Chittana. The National Transportation Safety Board says the flight, operated by Copper Valley Air Service, carried a pilot and 1 passenger who were both killed. Their bodies have been taken to the state medical examiner's office. And the NTSB investigators are back on the site of crashes after a year due to COVID-19 numbers improving. Alaska Chief Clint Johnson said he and his team could not respond to crashes because of the number of increasing coronavirus cases in the state. It can now resume field investigations. If you are eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine, there are more than 1,000 appointments available across the state. Currently, people eligible for a vaccine include those ages 65 and older, frontline hospital and emergency workers, and long-term care residents, as well as staff. You can see the appointments in your area by going to covidvax.alaska.gov or by calling the appointment hotline at 907-646-3322. More than 100,000 Alaskans have received the first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. It's a big week in Washington. Former President Trump's impeachment trial starts tomorrow, and Democrats start laying out what COVID relief will look like, including new payments for parents. Democrats are preparing to vote on COVID relief in 2 weeks, including stimulus payments. President Biden said the payments will phase out based on income, but Democrats are planning to add new monthly child payments up to $3,600 paid monthly starting in July. And a brief programming note, CBS will be covering the impeachment trial against President Trump. They will have a special report tomorrow morning right here on CBS 5. Super Bowl Sunday was not just memorable for Tampa Bay's domination on the field, but for the commercials. And many Americans have already weighed in on their favorites. Naomi Ruckham has the results. Nearly 60% of commercials featured an appearance by at least one celebrity or prominent athlete. Still ahead, an example of paying it forward.
I am challenging them right now to go out there and do something similar in their own way.
How a man is spending his most recent stimulus check on someone in need.